Let me ask this to all of you, starting with Phil Willis. Other than the economy, why is immigration the most important issue on the doorstep of this election?
Well, I think there was a feeling, Andrew, that people were afraid to talk about immigration. It had been tied up for too long in the issue of race. And myself and a number of my colleagues and the new Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, when he took over, made it very clear that that was not acceptable. We rightfully should talk about this, and that's why I'm pleased that you're doing this programme, and it is, after all, an election issue.
Nigel Farage?
The reason it's so important is people care about it and talk about it, but get roundly abused for doing so. We saw the Prime Minister's comments about the lady in Rochdale. We've had David Cameron denounce us as being closet racists for trying to discuss the issue. It matters because since 1997, every single city and market town in this country has been fundamentally changed by the largest inflow of migrants we've seen in British history, and there's a feeling amongst ordinary folk that it's out of control and that these parties are not offering a proper solution.
Is UKIP, Nigel Farage, closet racist, Damien Green?
I'm not sure whether Nigel is. I've heard UKIP people say things that are pretty unpleasant, and I think the
Tory ones do that too, don't they?
The issue of whether...
So is he or isn't he a closet
UKIP a racist party?
I don't know. UKIP, what was David Cameron's phrase? Fruitcakes...
And closet racist.
And closet racist.
Just like the lady in Rochdale, being denounced for standing up and saying this issue matters.
No, I'm being denounced for the attitude you have. And I think one of the things that makes immigration an issue that's not only hugely important but needs to be discussed in sensitive tones is precisely that if you don't discuss it that way, then there are real consequences on the streets. You get real tensions between communities. And I think those tensions have arisen, and why it's such a big election issue is not so much what politicians say, but what politicians do. The fact that under the previous Conservative government, net immigration was never higher than 77,000. Under this government, it's never been lower than 140,000, means that immigration has simply been running at too high a rate, and that has given rise to the pressures on the public services and tensions between communities that we don't want.
Tom Brake, why the second issue on the doorstep after the economy?
Well, I think what's happened is since the new accession countries joined the European Union, people have seen in their communities large numbers of new arrivals coming from other EU countries. And I think what has perhaps been lacking is an immediate response from government to make sure that resources go into those areas so that they provide the level of public service that is required. And of course, we also now have a recession which is putting more pressure on jobs, and people are more concerned about their ability to secure a job in a jobs market where there are more people than previously was the case.
Phil Willis, when a lifelong Labour supporter raised the issue of immigration in the most moderate of ways next door to your constituency in Rochdale, why did the Prime Minister think she had been bigoted?
Well, I think he explained and he apologised that he'd misheard what she said.
What did he mishear?
We don't think she was bigoted at all for raising this issue.
Did she mishear?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the Prime Minister about that, but he did apologise. But the point that the lady was making is a point that comes up all of the time, and it's a point that we not only address in reacting to that point, but have policies in place to deal with it. We are managing migration through the points-based system. The net figures, as you've reported, are coming down, and I think the Polish people and others who came here because there was a strong economy, and there was some benefit to us in this country for that.
But Mrs. Duffy's point was that it was people from Eastern Europe that are coming. There is nothing you can do to stop unlimited numbers coming from those countries, is there?
Well, there is a mutual benefit, I think.
That's not the point. You cannot stop it, can you?
Nigel, can I answer the question? There is a mutual benefit. There are an estimated 2 million plus British people living and working within the European Union. And well, you laugh at that, Nigel. Are you going to bring everybody home from Spain?
There are 287,000 British people working in the European Union. That's the Eurostat figure. And there are 1.6 million EU nationals working in Britain. That is hardly a balance and hardly mutual benefit. They're Eurostat's figures, the European Commission's figures.
Well, I thought you wouldn't trust Eurostat figures. I dispute your figures, but are you seriously standing before this electorate and saying that if you work as a builder in Germany or as a technician in Paris, that you have to come home? Are you saying no?
I'm saying let's have a work permit system.
Is that a yes or a no?
I'm saying we have to have a work permit system.